The island turns to prayer to fight a crime wave. Barbadians talk about their experiences with recent chilly nights. And in sports, the Windies push their lead over England to 85 and counting on day 2 of the second test.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
A very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, we hear that Barbadians have turned to the power of prayer. For the next 72 hours, members of the various denominations will ask for God's protection as the island battles a crime wave. It comes against the background of several instances of gunplay and 9 murders in the month of January.
Shall experience supernatural favor.
The start of a weekend of prayer for the nation was marked by scenes like these. Students of the Lodge School pausing during their sports day for a minute's silence. And here at the Ministry of People's Empowerment, where staff of that ministry and others who work in the Warrens complex gathered. For about 45 minutes, they sang.
So God is the way, so easily restrained, but we're guided by the right hand of God.
They prayed and they preached. The message was clear. Barbados will not surrender to violence. Pastor Patrick Drakes says institutions like the church and judiciary all have a job to do to maintain peace. And stopping short of prescribing punishment for the offenders, he said it's time for the government to take a stand.
We have got to engage then in measures that send a very strong signal to those who believe that we can now have a government within the government.
Pastor Jake says most importantly, though, the home must be a place of peace.
If our homes be at peace, then our communities are going to be at peace, and then the nation of Barbados, right? And we must stop blaming the government of the day. We must stop blaming the schools. We must stop blaming the institutions. We must stop blaming the neighbor. We must stop blaming the friends of our children. Our homes need to be homes where peace is evident.
Minister of People Empowerment, Cynthia Ford, has been very passionate in her call for offenders to put down their weapons and embrace peace.
Within the last week, less than a week, I have lost 3 young men. I worked with them the best of my ability. Some were my Cub Scouts. So you know they had a foundation. But the negativity and the get rich or die mentality has taken them away from us. Or some evil ones who would have had it, because not all people who lose their lives or are serious or brutally injured are people who have interfered with anybody. They are in the wrong place at the wrong time, but that is their destiny. But I'm begging you, literally begging you, like I do with my parents and my constituents and my young people, do not give up the fight.
As soon as those around can warm up in his glowing. That's how it is with God's love. Once you've
Ms. Ford is also pleading with the business community to join with the rest of the nation in one day of prayer each month as the island works together to end violence. The Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation today said farewell to a personality that has become synonymous with the corporation for more than 3 decades. We'll give you a hint. She was well known for her fashion choices. Well, here's Sharika Griffith to tell you more.
Those are the people that
if you guessed Rosemary Allen, then you are correct. After 36 years of service at the CBC, Miss Allen made her exit today just as she arrived, quietly and dignified. She says even though she essentially spent half her life with the company, it did not seem that long.
I would hope that I really contributed not only to the development of the company, but through my programs, developed and helped educate the people of Barbados. Like all things, it was a roller coaster ride. There were good times and there were bad times, but that is what life is all about.
Miss Allen, who generated quite a buzz with her traditional African garb, held several positions including reporter, news anchor, and head of current affairs during her tenure. She was also the host of the weekly talk show CBC Presents. Her work as a journalist opened up doors which allowed her to travel to places such as Japan and Nigeria.
Overseas assignments in the 80s were plums that reporters always wanted to go to. And this one time she said to me, Dame Nita Barrow was being given the Triennial Award for Women in St. Kitts. And she said to me, this is an assignment I want you to do. And I, as usual, I know I have a baby, and she said, Rose, no, I want you to do this assignment. And I did go. And the rest is history. From then, overseas assignments, I didn't mind leaving the children to go and do the work for the CBC. So that really is one of my fondest memories.
She admits that if she could turn back the hands of time, there's at least one thing she would do differently.
What I have noticed is that there seems to be no distinction now in writing for TV and writing for radio, and there is a big difference. And I think that is something that, you know, comes with training and understanding and listening to different newscasts and listening to radio. But I can tell you that after spending all this time, I think that if I had my life to live over again, I would go to radio. Radio to me is more powerful than that box with a picture.
In offering some advice for journalists, she stressed the importance of training and reading.
You don't have to read a book from cover to cover, but you need to have a world view of things. I remember when Bernie Shaw retired from the CNN, and there was a shot of him cleaning his office. And what was remarkable about it, the books he had. And you know, for me, I know women like shoes, but I like books. So I have to keep out of bookstores from today.
And as for how she will be spending her retirement,
oh, I have a lot of plans. I got a lot of books I have to read. I have my 2 granddaughters that I have to train now. And the beach. And that's it. And enjoying Barbados, enjoying whatever time I have left on this earth.
Here's wishing her a happy retirement from all of us at the CBC. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Thanks very much, Sharika, and happy retirement, Rosemary. Well, the CBC's acting general manager, Andrew Green, has wished Miss Allen a happy and well-earned retirement. He says she did a lot for the CBC and her work will be shared with generations to come.
You have always had the best interests of the CBC at heart, and for that we applaud you and we thank you. Right? We know all the work that you've done, especially in terms of the development of our archives, which was your initiatives back in the 1990s. That department has grown tremendously over the years since that initial contribution from you. Right? You've done many programs for us, which I'm sure that we will, in our celebration of you, be able to see and treasure for many years to come.
A news talk show is coming to the radio stations at the CBC. The Reload radio program, which starts tomorrow, will be aired every Saturday evening between 6 and 7 on Q100.7 FM. Host Cornelius Bartlett says the idea for the show came from a series of growth and empowerment seminars he hosted last year.
What we are aiming to do is we're going to have issues put on the table. We're going to have a panel. So we're going to invite a variety of panelists. So depending on the topic, we're going to invite panelists based on not only the academic qualifications, but also experience. So the idea behind this program is to give listeners a rich discussion, not only just a talk shop, because sometimes, you know, we have shows where people discuss issues and they go back to their old factory settings. But we're talking about resetting and reloading people's mentalities to live a more meaningful, a more empowered life.
Well, the businessman says Reload will connect with the issues that are not often discussed, and he stresses that it will not be a religious show.
I would encourage any person who wants to have a deep discussion on any element of anything we mention from the Bible, for example, to really find a Bible-believing church close to where you live and go to their Bible study or go to, you know. So there's no need to really turn the program or turn a show like this into a Bible study or a war of religion. This program is aimed at touching every single ethnic group, every single religion, every single economic, every single demographic you're thinking of or you can think of is where this program is going to touch.
Well, police are probing an incident where an elderly woman was abducted from her home at gunpoint and made to hand over money from her bank account. According to Police Public Relations Officer Acting Station Sergeant Michael Blackman, the woman, 60-year-old Rada Rabilal of Fort George Heights, St. Michael, was taken from her home yesterday evening between 7:30 p.m. and 7:45 p.m. and placed in the trunk of her car. Now, police say around 9, Ms. Rabilal was seen at Pine East-West Boulevard, where she reported that she was removed from her home and placed in the trunk of her car by an armed, masked man dressed in dark clothing. Reports are that the bandit requested the elderly woman's ATM card and PIN number, and a sum of money was taken from her bank account. The man subsequently made his escape. More job opportunities for the youth and unemployed are on the horizon. It comes with the announcement of a joint fish silage project with Barbados, the government of Argentina, and the FAO fish waste silage as a liquid product made from whole or fish parts. Argentina's ambassador to Barbados, Gustavo Pandiani, believes the initiative will be very impactful, and he explains it will start with some research.
That first month, we will start with technical cooperation. That means our expert will come from Argentina and will run a couple of workshops and training sessions. In the meanwhile, the ministry has to get together to try to define which are the main, the most important points. We assume it's going to be Bridgetown Port, Oistins Port, and a third one that Minister of Agriculture referred to.
Youth Minister Adrian Ford was one of 3 present at the launch. He says it will present several opportunities and at the same time reduce unemployment.
Right now the figures are about 29%. I am saying that agro-entrepreneurship must be part of the conversation to help us reduce those levels. I am saying that youngpreneurship, the last study that we did in Barbados suggested that young persons, at least 70%, the last tracer study we did, they have a burning desire to be entrepreneurs. This will give them the opportunity to fulfill that dream. It must be the Barbadian.
But some countries of the world are experiencing cold spells. Barbadians are being told to brace for more chilly nights as well. Senior meteorologist Clem Williams says lower temperatures are not unusual at this time of the year as they coincide with the winter season for the Northern Hemisphere. Now, while this month has been cooler than January last year, Mr. Williams says temperatures have not surpassed the record lows.
I did do a quick check of our records here at the airport, and what we noticed was that there are years when, even into the month of March, we've had temperatures as low as 17.4 degrees. Yes, this may have been a while back. In 1986 it was. But generally, January, February, March, temperatures average generally in the low 20s and maybe even the high teens.
Well, one of our news teams took to the streets to hear how some Barbadians and tourists have been coping with the temperatures.
Just beautiful. You can sleep at night, so it's cool, windows open, all that. Just beautiful. But this time of the year, the earth is rotating at the back of the sun, so it's going to be cooler nights. Can't want it better. Traditionally, you remember in the old days when the cooking oil used to freeze at nights and whatnot because the temperature dropped. Maybe you're too young for that, but It's really just beautiful. You can sleep, keep your windows open. If you need to, pull on a sheet, but right now it's better to be cool than to be hot.
I love when the weather's like this because I love to wrap up, and usually it's very hot, and I've been complaining that the grass is drying up, and so outside is humid, but weather like this, I'm loving it, truly. It's been kind of cold, not overly cold in my opinion, but good.
Nah, put on one additional blanket or sheet. What? No, the regular blanket and the regular sheet there. Nah, I like the cool air. I don't do well with heat. That is true. You know, so walking around during the day in the heat and that kind of thing, it does be a little much for me. That is why I will spend most of my days in the studio in the AC. So coming out at night and enjoying the nice cool breeze, that's fantastic for me. I love it.
The weather has been lovely here. We just arrived last night. We found it a little bit chilly, oddly, coming from Canada. Yeah, I know, but look at it today. It's gorgeous.
Well, a local charity has extended a helping hand to another organization that recently experienced break-ins. The Community Services for the Disadvantaged, through its co-founder and president Desmond Hoyt, partnered with Caribbean Tele-Healthcare Services to present an eye care tracker alarm system to the Christian Learning Clinic. The Q Road St. Michael-based CLC is a vocational training center for special youth, teaching them how to function with basic life skills. Now, the alarm system was handed over to the founder of the center, Loretta Lashley. Project coordinator Anthony Hines says reports were made to the police and they sought assistance to get a fence fixed.
It's giving access to a lot of intruders. We had a situation just 3 days ago where 2 pieces of wood were taken again and they took Miss Lashley's shoes. So hopefully we can get these matters sorted, but hooking up with Community Services for the Disadvantaged, they listened to our plight and they were ever so generous as to bring us this alarm system. The fence still needs repairing. NHC, in all fairness to them, has promised to come out and erect the fence for us, but it's not been done as of yet.
Mr. Hoyt says on hearing of the plight, they partnered with a local business that supports independent living.
I'm thanking the Caribbean Tele-Care Services for donating this system so we can donate it to the Christian Learning Clinic to hand over this system here to monitor the special needs people at the center. So I'm thanking the center as well for giving us the opportunity.